How difficult is it to drive an EV to Alaska?
Soon we'll be in the dead zone.
All the while living inside of it. How cheaply can it be done?
43 cents per minute per kilowatt hour is, in my opinion, a lot.
Getting there will take over 40 hours of driving. Driving through some of the most remote stretches of highway in North America.
But I've seen more wildlife in BC than I've seen pretty much over the last year.
Alcon Highway. And what is life really like this far up north?
Fly up against the gas tank and punch holes in them, and I don't know how many. If I had $1 for every gas tank I soldered up years ago, I'd be rich.
This has always been a dream of mine. Untamed America, visiting the last frontier. My journey starts today by crossing the border into Canada.
We are about to cross into Canada. Kind of weird how it is that you have to go through another country to get to another state. But cool. See, I got my green card right here, and then I got my passport. I'm not really sure how much I should reveal about what I do, like that I basically live in my car. Hi.
Where's home?
The Netherlands. Well, Boston.
Anything you're dropping off in Canada?
Nope.
Do you carry firearms?
Nope.
Usually do all it by yourself though? You don't travel with somebody?
Yeah, I prefer by myself. It's better, trust me. Okay, so I sounded super nervous, but I think we're good.
I wasn't sure which route I should take, as the wildfires in British Columbia were some of the worst they've ever seen.
I arrived in Prince George this afternoon, and this wasn't there, the wildfires. So I'm leaving tonight already, heading north to Dawson Creek, if I said that right. But living inside your car and there are wildfires around, I don't want to deal with that. Plus I can taste it in my mouth. It's like I've sat next to a campfire for hours already. I smell like smoke, it tastes like smoke. So I'm waiting to fully charge up to 100%, which is about 20 more minutes or so. And hopefully I can safely get out of here. I'm nervous. I am actually nervous. I'm not trying to be too dramatic here, but this wasn't here when I arrived this afternoon, just the amount of smoke.
I often catch myself thinking how fortunate I am being able to travel this way, exploring the United States and Canada. It's easy to feel like you're all alone, submerged in the elements like being in the wild. But what sometimes sparks life into my days is meeting fellow travelers, like Kat.
But now you could say the fun starts, or the anxiety. Having to bring a electric vehicle up there. I think from this point on, it's about 2,000 kilometers up north. So excited for that. And actually, I've met somebody who's gonna give me some tips as he just made his way down and talk about minimalist travel. As this setup right behind me, that is his way of travel. And he's traveling the world.
I'm from Malaysia. Wow. I'm a 63 years old. I already retired from electrical and maintenance manager, going worldwide motorbike riding to 106 countries. So talking about awareness of global warming, safe nature. We successfully planted tree in Indonesia, Timor-Leste, Australia, Japan, Russia and Finland.
Wow.
So the next plant.
That's so many countries.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Then the next one, I want to plant a tree in Seattle, Washington. Please plant more trees. Don't unnecessarily cut the tree. You're getting married, plant one tree. You got a newborn baby, plant one tree. Any function, you're graduated, plant one tree. You buy any property, you plant one tree.
Where do you sleep?
I'm sleep mostly. I taking wherever the budget. Like especially hostel. Motorbike BMW R1200 GS is a adventure bike. This is my bike. This is the pannier boxes. Got right and left. This is some other. These are my glove. This is a full face helmet. This is we call tank bag. This is Insta.
Insta 360.
Insta 360 camera. Oh yes, this is.
Awesome.
And then I got a plan B. If let's say this is I got a GPS. Then also I put it another phone here for navigation.
Okay.
If I cannot, then I put another one more phone here. So all the complete system is here.
Here's a fun fact. The Alcan Highway is 2,224 kilometers long and was built in 1942 in only 9 months. That's roughly 8 kilometers of road being built a day. And alongside this road, there is so much nature, you are pretty much guaranteed to see some wildlife.
Because, I don't want to interrupt his feast. But just taking in the moment, the wildlife, it's so cool. I'm sitting on the edge of my car. I'm not going to get out of my car because this is a young bear just munching away.
As I continue my way up north, the Tesla navigation kept telling me that I wouldn't reach my destination without charging, as I was out of range from any known chargers. Only since the beginning of this year has there been public charging stations been installed to make traveling up north a bit easier. These float charging stations are between 25 kilowatts and 50 kilowatts and will take 2 to 3 hours to fully charge your car. I drove slow so that I can make it through the dead zone area between Fort Nelson and Watson Lake. Many RV camping sites are already closed for the season, making this a little bit more difficult. I only needed about 10% to get to Watson Lake.
Bought the wrong adapters for my route. Turns out that the NEMA 1450 to NEMA 1430 adapter, the converter piece, is actually the wrong piece. I actually have no idea what I bought. I'm using the regular mobile adapter, so I have 110 volts charging my car right now. I only need about 10% to get to Watson Lake, but because this is a really slow charger, it will take about 10 hours or so. So I paid for a campsite tonight. I'm gonna hang out here. I'm actually gonna go to the hot springs just across the street to go check that out.
It's funny how certain situations kind of force you to slow down. Right?
As I was about to enter into Alaska, I stopped in the last border town, Beaver Creek, a town of a whopping 85 people.
As you can see, I have my handy bear spray with me because this is pretty much off the beaten path. I'll consider wild camping. And I want to show you guys something really, really scary actually. It's just the amount of bear tracks and wolf tracks like on the ground. Paw print. I checked to see on Google what it was, and it's a wolf paw print. So 4 toes and a big, look at that. It's about the size of my hand. That's gnarly. It's like -5 degrees and it's still September.
Sid, who has been here since the 1960s, wanted to give me some insight into what was life really like this far up north.
62, which is about, what, 62 years, 61, since 1961, so it's 62 years.
And you were telling me you're from Friesland,
Yeah, Friesland.
which is also the Netherlands.
Yeah, the Netherlands, most northern province,
Yeah.
northwestern. Yeah, we left there in 1953 and then never been back. This is kind of like my museum. Most of this is built out of old lumber from army buildings from 1942.
So like you basically recycled it all.
Yeah, yeah. I recycled long before the word ever became popular. Long years before. Oops. This is all old army stuff in here. See, the U.S. Army had everything marked, and they branded everything. Look, see, it says U.S. there on the chairs and everything. They marked everything, so that's all Army from 1942 when they built the Alaska Highway.
If you had to rate the road when you first started living here until today, it's improved tremendously, right?
Oh, 100%. It's totally like a super highway now compared to what it used to be. Yeah, it was only about half as wide and really quick and all gravel, of course. That's hard on, and tires. But nowadays you don't get so many breakdowns anymore because the road's much smoother. Tires are much better than they used to be. Those radial tires.
Something that's fascinating about the people who live here is that their nearest grocery store, just to grab some food, is in Whitehorse, a 5-hour drive one way. No Uber Eats, no delivery service here, but I guess you adapt and...
It's going stock up on stuff. You know, like milk, we buy maybe 3-4 gallons at a time, and then freeze it. So, you know, a lot of stuff. Bread too. You can freeze everything. Vegetables.
Or you can just leave it outside.
Yeah, I leave it outside in the wintertime, but then the squirrels go to get it.
As I crossed into Alaska, I decided to drive to Anchorage. I stopped in Glenalmond to pay for fast charging for the first time since Prince George, as I needed the juice to get to my sleeping spot in Palmer, Alaska.
Up here, things tend to be more expensive, especially gas. I've seen gas along the highway for $5 to $6 per gallon. Yeah, so I can't complain too much, but this is probably the most expensive charging stop that I've had.
I spent the night in Palmer and drove into Anchorage the next morning. Making it into Anchorage after driving for 9 days straight felt amazing, a sense of liberation.
Hello, welcome to Alaska. Yeah, it's cold here and I'm bundled up and I feel like a weatherman reporting on the weather now. But I'm here and I want to tell you guys why I'm here, but I'll get that just a bit later. Because first, what I want to talk about is how much did it cost for me to get up here? How cheap did I do it? Really cheap. I really love this lifestyle, as traveling on the open road, you get to travel in such a unique way. You get to see the country in such a unique way. And I've never seen more wildlife along the road than over the last 3,500 kilometers that I've driven. So I actually took some notes when I drove my way up here because I am very forgettable. Because the 9 days it took me to get up here feels like it was 2 days. It's totally doable to get an electric car up to Alaska, as I'm not the first one and won't be the last one. Something that I did continuously do along the way is I charged to 90 to 100% every single time. And the reason why I did that is that because there's no charging network up here, Tesla related, the car sometimes had a hard time getting the right estimate of what it would take for me to get to my next charging destination. I would often wait till like 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning before I would start driving to make sure the temperature outside would not eat away too much of my range. And something that I did along the way a lot was I drove below the speed limit. So for the majority of the Alcon highway, it's about 100 kilometers per hour, and there's a lot of construction along the road, so you will drive a lot slower than that. The reason why there's so much construction on that stretch of highway is the permafrost underneath the highway is melting at such a rate that it's changing the highway every single year. That makes driving up here the roads very treacherous. So I do suggest that if you get the chance to upgrade your wheels, do so. I upgraded mine to T-Sportline TSS wheels, which they're amazing. The total amount that I charged 11 times between RV sites, level 2 chargers, and fast chargers, which are Flow. I spent a whopping $84. $84. So, and that's 3 charging stops. 3. Ooh, that is nice. If you divide $84, which is the total charging cost, divided by 3,500 kilometers that I drove, you get about 2 cents per kilometer driven. That is my cost. So it's not free like the way I usually do it, but talk about cheap. Talk about traveling on a bargain. And of course, you cannot forget flakes on avocado toast, little chili flakes. This is probably one of my favorite meals, oh God, to make while I'm on the road. Very simple, takes about 10 minutes, very, very cheap. That's delicious. But the main reason why I came out here, you guys know that my car is nicknamed Beluga. And we're in the Cook Inlet, right If you look at Alaska, which is basically Alaska right here, Cook Inlet is around here, right? So Anchorage is around here, and then it's right around there. I've been trying to see them. I haven't had any luck yet, but that's why I'm here.
Be fine. Live your life, dream big, don't forget to be kind.